nothing but a suitcase, a mattress, and the weight of needing to start over. The building was tucked away on the edge of a small, almost forgotten town. A place where people still smiled at strangers, but didn't ask too many questions. The rent was suspiciously low for a 2-bedroom on the 3rd floor, but I was too tired to question a good deal. My unit was 3C. It had an old, tired charm to it, yellowing blinds, creaking floorboards, the scent of wood polish and something faintly earthy. Not unpleasant, just odd. Directly across from me was apartment 3B. Its door was always closed. The mailbox never had anything sticking out of it, and I never saw anyone come or go. On my second night, I noticed it. It started with soft footsteps, light, deliberate pacing behind the wall I shared with 3B. Then, late at night, around 3 a.m., a slow knock. Not on my door, but on the wall. Knock, knock, knock. At first, I froze. I was exhausted, probably imagining things. But then came the whisper, a woman's voice, almost inaudible. Do you hear it too? I sat in bed, heart pounding. My first instinct was to check my phone, to record it, capture proof. But by the time I opened the voice recorder, everything was silent. The next morning, I saw the landlord checking the exterior hallway light. I casually asked about the neighbor, 3B. He said, frowning, "It's empty. Has been for months." "You sure?" I asked. "Yeah. Guy before you. Left real sudden. Didn't even take his stuff." He didn't elaborate, and I didn't press. But that night, the knocking came again. This time, it wasn't just one wall. I heard it from behind the vent in the living room, then the bathroom mirror, then the floorboards beneath my bed. Knock, 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 and always followed by that whisper, "Don't listen to it." By the 4th night, sleep was a luxury I couldn't afford. I started to recording audio each night. At first, just static, but one night, I played it back and heard something that chilled me to the bone. A male voice, soft but desperate. "It knows you're listening. Stop." I checked the vents, all of them. The one in the living room had 2 tiny holes drilled in its frame. I couldn't shake the feeling they were watching me. I shoved furniture in front of every vent, taped over the keyholes, slept with the lights on, but the knocking didn't stop. It changed. It started following me. At the grocery store, I swore I heard it near the freezer aisle. At the library, inside the bathroom stall. Knock, knock, knock. I asked my downstairs neighbor, Mrs. Dana, about 3B. Her face turned pale. They never leave that place empty for long. Someone always moves in. And then, something happens. "What kind of something?" I asked. She shook her head. "They start hearing things, seeing things, and then they leave, or vanish. The last guy, I saw him pounding on doors, screaming. Said it was in the vents, that it was wearing someone's face. My blood ran cold. That night I dreamt of the door across the hall. 3B. In the dream, it opened slowly, and behind it stood a man with no face, just a blank, pulsing surface. He whispered something, but the words were muffled. I woke up sweating. My bedroom vent was wide open. The screws lay on the floor, like they'd been unscrewed from the inside. I ran to the landlord the next day. His office was shuttered. I asked another resident where he was, and she just said, "He doesn't come around much anymore. Not since what happened in 3B. That night I tried to sleep somewhere else, a hotel. As I was packing, I noticed the hallway was unusually quiet. Not a single creak, not even the usual hum of the light overhead. Just silence. I stepped into the hall. B's door was wide open. It was pitch black inside. The lights didn't work, but something compelled me, like I wasn't walking into it, but being pulled in. Inside, the walls were covered in writing, scratched, carved, scrawled in different hands and different styles. It wears their skin. It's not human. Don't let it know you're alone. Eyes in the vent. Eyes in the dark. In the far corner, beneath the window, was a pile of personal belongings, wallets, keys, glasses, at least a dozen sets. I recognized one. It was my old neighbor's keychain from 3A. He'd moved out 2 weeks ago, without warning. I backed away slowly, but the door slammed shut behind me. I turned, tried the knob, locked. My phone had no signal. From the far end of the apartment, from inside the vent, came that same whisper. "It's in you now." Then something moved behind the wall. A shudder, a ripple, like something big shifting just behind the plaster. I slammed my shoulder into the door. Once, twice, 3 times. On the 4th, it burst open, and I tumbled into the hallway. The apartment behind me was silent, as if it hadn't been opened in years. The next day, 3B was closed again, padlocked. No trace I'd ever been inside. I packed up and left. I didn't even break my lease. I didn't care. But some nights in unfamiliar hotel rooms, I still hear it. Knock, knock, knock. I move from city to city now, but it always finds me. The knocking, the whispers, and in every room I stay in, the vents are always watching. The man across the driveway. I moved into the suburban duplex alone after my divorce. It wasn't much, just a small house tucked into a sleepy neighborhood of trimmed hedges and overly friendly mailboxes. But it was mine, quiet, clean, and far from the noise of my past life. Or so I thought. The unit next door had been vacant for months. Its windows were always shuttered, the yard overgrown, and the porch light never worked. But one rainy Tuesday I noticed something had changed. It was dusk when I first saw him. I'd just returned from work, soaking wet from a downpour. As I pulled into my half of the driveway, I noticed a figure standing still in the window of the empty unit, perfectly still, watching me. The blinds were slightly parted, just enough to make out the pale skin of a man with a completely bald head and dark, sunken eyes. No expression, just watching. I tried to shake it off. Maybe a new tenant. I told myself that I was tired and imagining things. But when I turned to look again, he was gone. That night, I couldn't sleep. I left the bedroom window slightly open for fresh air, but I kept hearing soft footsteps outside, like someone pacing slowly in gravel. When I peeked through the curtains, there was no one there, just the wind swaying the tree branches, brushing against the siding with an eerie scratching sound. I told myself I was being paranoid, until the next morning. The following day, when I went to take out the trash, I noticed footprints. Muddy, barefoot prints. They started at my driveway, crossed over to my porch steps, and disappeared right at my door. No prints leading away. It was like someone had come up, stood there, and vanished. I checked the Ring camera I'd installed weeks ago, but strangely, it had no footage from that night. The file was missing entirely, like it had never recorded at all. Days passed, and the sightings escalated. One evening, I returned home late and saw him again, this time sitting in a chair on the neighbor's porch. His posture was stiff, rigid. He didn't move. His eyes locked onto me as I parked the car. I sat there frozen, too afraid to get out. When I finally did, pretending I hadn't seen him, I rushed inside and locked every door and window. I didn't sleep, not a wink. Every creak, every gust of wind felt like him trying to get in. By morning, the chair was empty. I tried asking the landlord about the man next door. "There's nobody living there," he said casually over the phone. "That unit's still under renovation. No tenants." "What about the man on the porch last night?" "What man?" My stomach dropped. I tried pressing him, but he brushed it off. Probably just a drifter passing through. I knew that wasn't true, because the next night I woke to the sound of tapping on my bedroom window. A slow, deliberate tap, tap, tap. I didn't move. It was coming from the side window, the one that faced the neighboring house. My blinds were down, but through the thin slats, I saw him again. His head, just inches from the glass, bent at an odd angle, mouth slightly open, staring directly at me through the gaps. He didn't blink. I screamed and called the police. When they arrived, of course, he was gone. There were no footprints this time, nothing on the camera, just silence. They left with a half-hearted warning to keep the lights on and call again if he came back. But he never left. Soon, things turned sinister. I started waking up to find the front door unlocked, my pantry rearranged, pictures turned upside down on the walls. My bedroom closet door, which I always kept shut, would be wide open in the morning. I even found a trail of fingernail scratches inside it, dragging down the wood. Then I found something I hadn't noticed before. In the gap beneath the shared wall between my bedroom and his supposed empty unit, a foul, sour smell leaked through. Rotting flesh, wet mildew, something ancient and wrong. One night, I set up a baby monitor near the wall just to test a theory. Around 2:17 a.m., I heard it. Breathing. Not the normal kind, but raspy, hungry, right next to the mic, like something was pressed up against the wall, listening to me. Every breath slow and measured, as if savoring the silence between us. I moved out the next day. 2 weeks later, I got a call from the landlord. "We finally went into the unit next to yours," he said, voice shaking. "We found a man's body in the crawl space, bald, eyes wide open. He'd been dead for over 6 months." I asked, "Did he live there?" "No," he whispered. "We don't know who he is or how he got in. I still check my cameras every night, even though I've moved across the state. Sometimes I think I see him, just out of frame, in the reflection of a window, still watching, still waiting. They say the dead can't walk the earth, but whoever he was, he never left the driveway